Hello everybody, Necro here, and Update 30 is finally released. It's been a long time we've been waiting for this update. Specifically about 6 months to be exact. The last update was about 6 months ago. It's finally out. There's a lot to it, so we're just going to get right into it. Before we start though, however, there is a known bug that the devs have talked about, and your game might crash for some people when you're opening up your supply locker. The cause for this bug is because there's certain outfit unlock items that might be in your supply locker that the game doesn't know how to sort. I think specifically this happens in Trumbull Valley. So that's just something that they want everybody to be aware of. They are fixing it. They are in the works to get it pushed out. So they ask that everybody just kind of hang tight and hold on. They're getting to work on it. And if you have any issues, they recommend that you contact their support and send them an email. So let's get into, there's a few things. There's a lot. There's actually a lot, but we're just going to go over the main stuff. To look at all the patch notes and all the little nitty-gritty details, go to their website, or you can even go to Steam and check out the patch notes there. It'd be probably too much to go into the video. Not only that, there's so many things that weren't even mentioned, that they mentioned in other streams, that it's just, here we go. So, Update 30 is the Forever Legacy update. So now, after you complete a legacy, you don't have to, start a whole new map and whole new community with a couple people. So after a legacy now, you can either disband your community, or you can just take your community and just move them on to a new map like you never even stopped. So this is essentially like changing a map mid-game, but now you're doing it after you complete the legacy. So this will give you an opportunity to collect that boon just in case you don't have it. Unfortunately, when you're moving to the new map and continuing your legacy after you complete your legacy, you don't get to choose the new boon. It's something that they did talk about, and they're hoping to get that maybe in a future update, but they wanted to, this update was taking a long time. They just wanted to get it out quickly. When you choose a new map, everything carries over. When you choose a new map, you can send you can send some of your survivors to the legacy pool, and then if you had like a couple that you're like, I don't want to carry these guys over, you want to save them, you can put them in the legacy pool and then continue on with the rest of the community that you have left behind. Also, in the middle of the game, you can recruit characters from your legacy pool while you're playing, which is like really cool, and it's a really good feature. It's a powerful mechanic. It can allow you to move rare and certain items between communities if you just attach them to a character, because you can also send characters to the legacy pool in the middle of a game, which is fantastic. So if you had a really rare item that let's say you had any item that you really needed to help out in a different community, well then you could give that item or weapons or whatever to that survivor, send them to the legacy pool, load up your other community, and then recruit that member into that current community. So that is amazing. However, it does come with a price. It does cost 1,200 influence if you want to recruit somebody from the legacy pool. It's free to send them, and they will take whatever inventory they have with them. However, if you want to recruit them, it will cost 1,200 influence. So just keep that in mind. When you're in the legacy pool menu, you can sort survivors now by certain traits and whatnot. You can also favorite them. If you have a couple favorite ones, you can favorite them, and then they'll get sorted into like a favorite category. Also, when you're viewing the survivors in the legacy pool, now you can see any weapons or items that they're holding. You can see their traits and their skills now. And that's just, they've added so much to this legacy mechanic now that it's amazing. When moving to a new map, you can also choose the base you want to go into, which is great. So you're not stuck to just that first starter base, especially when you have large communities and you have to get to that starter base, and then you have to go, okay, we got to go, get to the new one and then move everything in. It's just going to make it a lot easier. In addition to this update, they've revamped the supply locker. So now the supply locker has a sorting and stacking feature. So now a lot of items will stack that you weren't able to stack, like small weapons, and even facility mods will stack now. And in addition to sorting and stacking, now you can salvage just about anything. So you can salvage the facility mods. You can salvage the backpacks, which I think you might have been able to do before, but I can't remember. But you can salvage almost anything. I think the only thing you can't salvage is some mission-specific items. They've added 2 new save slots. So now instead of having 3 save slots for your communities, you can have 5. That's essentially a save slot per map. So you can, you don't have to disband a community and get rid of it if, say, you want to try a new map or try a new community. 5 is great. The more, the better. They said they would thought about adding some more, but they don't want to push the limits of the game's internal memory because that can cause some issues. When you're selecting survivors for a new community, everything's kind of randomly generated. And some of the issues that people were having was that when they're selecting, you're just clicking through, and you might pass up a really good survivor and like, oh no, what are you going to do? Well, now you can go back. However, you can only go back up to about 2 spaces, so just kind of keep that in mind too. So if you pass up a good survivor, you can go back a couple of spaces and select him if you were just clicking through it really fast and you're like, oh no, I forgot. There's a lot of quality of life improvements, and it's a handful. I'm just going to kind of go over the main ones, and they're just subtle differences. But they improved a lot of the interior lighting issues in the game. They fixed some bugs of certain objects would float in the air, I think like trees and rocks and stuff like that. If you drop an item on top of a vehicle, like if you had a rucksack that you dropped on top of your vehicle, or an item got up there for whatever reason and you drove away, well, that item would float and you'd have to pretty much take the car back to where that item was and get on top of the car and pick it up. So they changed that now. Zombies have a line of sight mechanic that they kind of added to the game a while back where you could essentially hop over a fence and kind of hide from a zombie. They won't know you're there. However, they added now that they can see you through a chain link fence, which makes sense. But before that was kind of like not really a bug, but it's just something that they didn't add. There was something that you couldn't switch characters at all of your outposts. There were certain outposts that wouldn't allow you to switch characters, but now they changed that. So any outpost you get anywhere should allow you to switch outposts. Now, talking about switching characters at outposts, they took out an exploit, which was kind of like I want to say it was probably a favorite among the community. If you were out and about and you were having a zombie siege back at your base, what you could do is go to an outpost, switch out your character, and then that would essentially trigger the siege at your base because it would think that, your character was back at your base or something like that. So what that would allow was the siege to carry on, but since you're not at your base, nobody would really get injured or hurt or anything like that. And then the siege would carry on and then complete. And so that way you could do it without wasting some ammo if your community just fended them off by themselves while you were away. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys really found this video helpful. I tried to get as much info as I could and summarize in a short amount of time. Didn't want this to be like a huge long video. Just kind of wanted to get the information condensed and so everybody kind of knows what's going about. If you want more info, go check out the patch notes. Go to their website, go to Steam, and read the patch notes, and I'll give you kind of all the details there and whatnot. Check out my last video about Update 30, because that talks about some stuff that is in Update 30, but they didn't really talk about in this stream. They're not like major implementations of anything. They're just kind of some reworks of like the leader facilities and the leaders and whatnot. So if you like the video, please subscribe. You're amazing if you do, and even if you don't, you're still amazing. I still appreciate you watching this video. Thank you so much for watching.